Hi, today I'm going to read from Silk Stockings by Diane Vallere. The clock would strike midnight in 2 minutes. This was important for a few reasons, not the least of which was that the crowd of couples who filled the interior and exterior grounds of teetotalers, my friend Genevieve Girard's tea shop turned Parisian nightclub, would filter down the sidewalk of Bonita Avenue and make their way toward the Waverly House for their annual stroll through the historic mansion's gardens. The other reason midnight was important was that the coordinators of tonight's event had synced every clock in our small town of Saint-Ladrone down to the second. They were set to chime, ring, buzz, and otherwise announce the arrival of 12 a.m. It was one thing to imagine the impact of that type of alarm coordination, but it might be quite another to experience it. If the several hundred guests who sipped champagne and nibbled at petit fours and hors d'oeuvres at teetotalers had followed suit of the city and set their cell phones to ring too, we could be looking at the kind of noise level that might launch missiles over Cuba. Genevieve approached me with a flute of champagne. "Polly, things turned out better than I had hoped. We've gone through almost 17 pounds of brie, and the crusty French bread disappears as fast as it comes out of the oven. I've served almost as much of my special blend of tea as I have champagne, and people are asking if I'll cater their parties. People who have lived in Saint-Ladrone their whole lives are telling me they wish they'd come here earlier. This idea was genius. It's really putting me on the map." She handed me a glass of champagne and clinked it with hers. "It's putting you on the map, too," she added. Genevieve had opened teetotalers a few years ago with the help of her French husband. He was no longer in the picture, thanks to seedy business dealings with people who thought murder was an appropriate solution to a business dispute. Genevieve had been the #1 suspect in her husband's murder, and I'd been instrumental in helping clear her name. In return, she'd been instrumental in helping me open Material Girl, the fabric shop I inherited from my great-uncle several months ago. Tonight, we were both reaping the benefits of hard work and creative marketing. Genevieve spun around her cafe's interior with her arms out. The champagne in her flute spilled from the glass, but she didn't seem to notice or care. "Can you believe it? It really does feel like we're in Paris at midnight." I followed her gaze around the newly made-over cafe. I'd gotten the idea to use French fabrics from my shop to build on the theme Genevieve had wanted for the interior. Long toile curtains framed out sheer panels of wall that had almost gone into the dumpster behind the fabric shop thanks to a wicked case of mildew, but an intensive treatment with vinegar and fresh air had cleared the fabric of its musty scent and brought it back to life. The chairs had been recovered in gingham, Provençal, linen, and even more toile, and napkins, placemats, and serving trays had been trimmed with the same fabrics. That was by day. But tonight, for the Midnight in Paris party, I'd stepped things up a notch. Deep midnight blue velvet covered the existing butter yellow walls. I used a heat-set technique to create a fleur-de-lis pattern on the velvet that mirrored the pattern woven into the voile sheers, and I'd covered the chairs in luxurious velvet seat covers tied back with thick ivory grosgrain ribbon. Small tea-light candles sat in clear glass votives on windowsills, tabletops, and counters inside the cafe. The organizers of the city's part of the event, decorating the street between teetotalers and the Waverly House, had hung strands of tiny white twinkling lights around the exterior of the buildings and in an arch over the street, creating a blanket of stars under which people danced to the jazz quartet on the corner. The local high school had crafted a scale model of the Eiffel Tower that sat in the middle of the intersection of Bonita and Saint-Ladrone Avenue. The roads had been closed for the night, so people could spill out into the street and enjoy the transformation of our small town. "Are you heading over to the Waverly House when the bells chime? I bet Vaughn would love to see you in that dress," Genevieve asked. I blushed. Since inheriting the fabric shop and moving to Saint-Ladrone, I'd spent enough time with Vaughn McMichael to get past the unfortunate first impression where I fell through a window and knocked him to the ground. We'd dined together, worked side by side, and even gone on a date. We'd also accused each other of having ulterior motives, resulting in alienation. And by we, I mean me, but I'd rather not get into that right now. Thanks for tuning in today for the reading of Silk Stockings by Diane Vallere. If you'd like to know more about the book or about Diane, check out the website links below. You can learn everything you need to know. Again, thanks for tuning in. I hope to see you next time.